Introducing Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
Welcome back, Nose to Tail podcast listeners. I'm Patrick Kraus, COO of Jet Midwest. I'm here with Ray from Lift Aerospace and Lift MRO now.
Correct.
Congratulations, got a couple different shops.
Yeah.
So always like to talk to people a little bit about their origin story and kind of how they got started in aviation. So maybe you can give us a short story of how you got started in aviation.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Kind of different. Started go right out of high school. No, I'm before high school. I started going to this magnet program called George T. Baker out of Miami, and kind of went there 4 years. That finishes 2/3 of your MP license. I actually finished before I was 18. So I had to go and wait 3 months to get my MP license just before I turned 18. I started working at repair stations, jumped from repair station to repair station. Till the last one I met my partner Mike, kind of, drunken night, started talking, spitballing. And we kind of saw an opportunity, I thought it was going to stay there. But Lift was born.
That's great. I can't tell you how many good ideas have come over a couple of cold ones, split it on a hot summer night. A lot of good ideas percolate.
Bad ones as well, but most of it.
We don't talk about those all the time. We just hold those in our story attic. So 2 technicians starting a company, and I know we discussed earlier a little bit, maybe that there's challenges when you start a company and you don't really have someone who maybe understands the finance world or maybe some of the business aspects. How did you guys overcome that?
It's there at the right time, man. It was definitely hard work. I mean, we used to spend so many hours in there. We wanted to grow, but at the same time, we didn't know what we were doing as far as finance goes. What to buy, what not to buy. Just don't go buy a Ferrari with your first paycheck. That was definitely out of the question. We're very humble guys. We come from nowhere. So we didn't want to make that mistake and be that guy. We kind of went with it. It was slow at the beginning, but I think it was just being at the right time at the right place. It kind of just gave in until little by little. We started growing. We added the first guy, then another guy came by, shipping and receiving, how to even box a unit. You receive the unit in the inventory, invoice, net 30 terms, when to buy, when not to buy. So, it kind of, we did good decisions, and the bad ones we learn from it.
I like that. It's a little bit of trial and error.
Yeah.
Right. Correct. And even though you had some exposure with some other companies, it can be complicated. I got introduced to the parts business in 1999. And my brother, who's our chairman now, had started Jet Midwest. He founded it with a different partner, and he didn't have the business acumen as well. And so he called me and said, "Hey, can you come help out?" I didn't have it either. And I'm like, "Well, what can I help you with?" He goes, "Just figure it out." So thanks for all that. So we figured it out and started getting it built. And 6 years later, in 2005, my other partner, my sister Karen, and I actually bought out his first partner, and now it's just the 3 of us running the company.
So the 3 of you?
Just the 3 of us.
Okay.
And it's been a great journey and a lot of fun. But just like you, it just kind of had to figure it out and make some mistakes and hopefully survive all those.
At that point, is those little mistakes that they hurt, man, and they don't let you sleep at night for a few weeks. Just because, nobody wants to make mistakes, but we kind of learn and then, do it again. And, hopefully now we don't make those mistakes that now will cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. As you get bigger and bigger, those mistakes are more and more expensive. And you know what? They are the best lessons, though. And I think one of the things we've done as we've grown is make sure that as we have those learning lessons that we get better at turning those into better processes. Or, hey, we have a review process needs to happen on this product line before we can engage in this deal, because we need someone else's eyes on it to make sure we don't make mistakes.
Yeah, that's something that school can't teach you,
No.
There's no degree for, messing up. You just got to go, and, walk it, it's just, it sounds ugly, but that's the ugly truth, you just got to walk it,
Yep. So starting with the parts company, and it sounds like a lot of the born out of necessity, right? You guys really needed to service maybe subcomponent level supply chains for your old MROs. Be like, hey, we need more parts. Tell me how that has changed now that you guys have, if that's where you started, or if that's not quite right, maybe correct that, but how did you guys really approach parts? I approached it from I got a lot of stuff. I put it on the ILS, people call me buy it, right? It's a simple method. But you guys' approach was a little bit different coming from a technician's standpoint.
I was running the hydraulic shop. So we had access and, packing it with pricing. And it was interesting, seeing a $5,000 RVDT and then customer approving a unit for $18,000, and the part new was, 20 grand. So I'm like, man, this is a tiny piece part. And I think that's where it comes from. I've always, a very technical guy, and money now wasn't the motivation. It's like I saw a gap, and still be able to do what you do and make some money out of it. So it's like, kind of the best of both worlds. So from there, it was just we stuck to the few piece parts that we knew what to do with them. Then one led to another one. Then we started with the 757 a lot. So that's what we used to do. And we kind of went from there to then move to the elevator, then the rotor, then the spoiler, then, adding piece parts until we then cover the A320. And just little by little, we'll buy, I don't know, 3, 4 at a time. And, sometimes they were in transit and we're already setting the solenoid, the servo valve, the pistons, the rod ends. So it's kind of the same thing as all these teardown companies do, but we do it at the next level. So our frame will be the component, and then you remove all the little piece parts. There's parts that we only get one out of it, and then it's, we either goes to a box or sometimes we just scrap them. Well, we have hundreds of them, but in reality, it's just, baby steps. First, the 7.5, then 7.6, then we did it by platforms. Now we're into, a little more pneumatics, more fuel. We even have APUs on lease, landing gears and stuff like that. But in reality, what made us was the piece parts, which is something that people don't think about it, but we had the technical knowledge. We have the manuals. We could read a manual. We know what to do. So maybe that's probably what set us aside from, other people.
That's great. And did you guys service those? I mean, Miami's obviously got a lot of component level MROs. I assume that was a great open forum for you guys just to say, hey, we've got this great service providing these piece parts.
Actually, yeah, we had another MRO packing the piece parts for us, but then, little by little, as they grow, they didn't want to do $150 inspections. It became a headache. And that's when little by little the MRO, at the beginning was a big no-no. And then Mike and I just sat down and be like, man, we got to do in order to keep providing, lead times of 7 days, 5 days. Now sometimes we could turn on a unit one day to another one. You don't see that, so we bring kind of the whole package when it comes to those type of components. I can't do an IDG for one day to another one. I can't do a starter. I can't do a landing gear. But what we bring to the table is things that nobody else would, is that the customer service, that knowing that if I tell you I could get it out in 2 days, I'm going to make it happen one way or another one. Once the MRO opened, it was challenging, but it's paid off. It's keep on adding more people. Now we're up to 35 people on both companies combined, which is, I never thought, that was possible.
Imagine that high school kid who had to wait 3 months for his A&P license because he graduated too early.
Yeah, man.
Now you've got 35 people on your team and you own 2 companies. That's a great story.
Yeah, man.
It really is. I absolutely love your approach. We have a similar approach when we built our component shop, in that it was really designed to serve our own needs, right? We were struggling. Our shop focuses, Jevin was Technic focused early on flight surfaces and nacelles. The 757 inlet cowl there's an AD on the bulkhead. So we actually engineered our own repair for that.
Those big items too, right?
Big items.
And big ticket items as well.
They are. But what we found was the only repair options in the marketplace for some of these items were so expensive. It's $25,000 to overhaul a slat that was worth $15,000.
And we ran through those as well.
Right. So I'm like, I can't do this. I need to find another way. I still need to monetize the slats. I have 100 of them. So how do you do that? Well, you're going to build internal capabilities. And you guys did something so say, I need to do this for myself. And we grew the business. It's been a great journey for us. And now we're starting to integrate third-party work and have some other third-party customers sending us those items. So it's not only, I sort of joke with my finance team. I'm not the finance guy either. But I take a lot of money out of my left pocket, put it in my right pocket, and that's great.
And it works, man.
It does. I like more to take money out of it with someone who gives me money from their pocket and I get to put it in mine. That's a transaction that I'm starting to enjoy more. The real moral of that story is we've graduated into now we're doing a lot more third-party work and bringing that into a larger percentage. So for yourselves in your MRO at Lyft, how much of that work really is still internally providing yourself piece part support versus managing and really driving outside, right? Because driving sales from a parts company and an MRO, we both have the same ownership style, right? It's different.
It is, but piece part, well, we kind of pretty much could tag 90% of our piece parts, unless it's a rotor that needs to get, balance and stuff like that. We could still do it. That business, actually, we got better at it. Repair stations can rely knowing that while another seal comes is on transit from the OEM, we know Lyft is gonna send the part before the seal gets here. So those 5-day leads and fill apply. Man, I love to hear, hey man, you guys are the best. Hey man, you guys are the best. Thank you for all you do. I was actually telling some of the guys, you go to customers or like airlines, and you're there to, hey man, thank you for your business, and they're like, man, thank you for everything you do for us. And I'm like, ah, I don't know, it feels weird because I'm supposed to be there for them. Hey, thank you for your business, and all I'm getting back, it's like, hey man, thank you for all you do, and that's rewarding to me. It feels good, but it's because we have the ability to, even if we're using an outside MRO, they might do it one time in 2 days. They're not going to do it all the time. We have a process in place that everything goes in and out. If it has NDT, adds a day or two, and then that's it. So it works for us. And then as far as the end units, but we're probably doing 40-50% at Lyft, but we still have avionic parts, APU parts, starters, IDGs that we can't use Lyft MRO. So we're actually providing, local MROs with our parts. So people don't look at us as like, oh, I can't send that to Lyft. We're here to help. At the end of the day, we're never going to go ahead and, try to, damage our name. We have a good reputation out there, and, we stand by our word.
That's great. I used to not quite understand the external nature of this business. And as I matured in my career, I found that my competitors are my customers. And so you see people in a different light when you realize that everybody can rely on each other, and nobody is ever big enough to do everything. And as soon as you think you are,
Nope.
you're not seeing
Think
everything, and you really need those other support pieces to really be great. So, and again, I love your customer service story, because it does ring true when you really excel and you're really servicing that need, that buyer that you solved the problem for, to get those solenoids into their hands so they could finish their job. She got to go home to go to her kid's soccer game on time,
Yeah.
because you guys did that. And I hear that message a lot when I'm out in the field, that, man, we really appreciate the efforts you guys put in. And so it's great that you guys have gotten there.
Man, I mean, that's the only way you're going to keep your customers, man. We're not corporate America. We're not that big corporation that's going to be able to provide not everything, but mostly everything. Man, I'll stay until 9 p.m. if I have to ship the part. FedEx in Miami closed at 9:30. I'll stay behind. Nobody from a big company is going to do that for their customers. And I always tell them, everybody, I've done it. You want me to ship it out today, man? At 7 p.m., either me, somebody else from the company goes and drop that off at FedEx. And you got to stand, you have to win at something. We might not be the biggest company out there, but, our customer service, it's like no other one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like to ask all of my podcast guests what their favorite aircraft is and why. So I'd be curious, Ray, what's your favorite aircraft?
The 757.
757.
Yeah, man. I think I remember going back from Colombia. I remember the Avianca one had the RB211s. That thing's a rocket. So that was one of the things. And then 757 actually shaped my career. Everything that I am today is because of the 757 parts. And, it's something that, it's never been, even I think the A321 now maybe is getting similar to it. But I think Boeing regretted not keep production on the 75.
It was a very sad time when they shut down that line, and it is a great platform. A huge transitional point in my career happened with the 757s as we started buying them from, guys out of retirement from American and United, and we brought in an awful lot of 75s, and I love to fly on them. And I've also made some of my best friends in the industry through the business development on those, and it really has been formative for me in my career, and it still is.
Yeah,
I still love the 75.
We don't fly them no more because American took them out. So, unless we're flying Delta or United,
You just take my friends over to Iceland Air. You can get the Miami or Reykjavik flight, and
I should.
That's a great flight as well. Well, thank you, Ray. Appreciate all your insights on Lyft and where you've been. Congratulations on becoming an entrepreneur and really making a career of it. Really proud of what you guys have done. And for all of our podcast listeners out there, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.